And as Cognito would say, we are live. So what is going on, Guardians? It is Ebontis here, and I just wanted to come and have a bit of a chat with you guys. Cognito is out right now for the weekend, so still wanted to come in and get a Flashpoint out to you guys, just a general discussion of what's going on, a couple things to talk about, some of the changes in Destiny, some of Bungie's thoughts on things, and just general ramblings of that nature. So, if you guys are out there in Twitch chat, thank you for tuning in. So, definitely appreciate you guys checking out the stream, even if it is late on Saturday. So, as you guys can tell, I am a party animal, so at home on a Saturday. Crazy town, but, you know, that's how it's going to go. But to get things started, we've got this week at Bungie. So this week they came out talking about Iron Banner. It did return. It is 6v6 again. We've got Season 3 in play. So you've got your lot of things to grind for with the inventory. If you saw the weekly reset, I walked through all of those. And it does tend to just be control. So that is their mode of choice. And basically, we've got most people enjoying Iron Banner. I think that's a fair bet. I think most people tend to be enjoying Iron Banner. I know I seem to. Cognito has a pretty good time with it. Got a new map as well. So we've got Bannerfall, which I have actually yet to play. Now, I was watching one other person's video, and I think they said they played like 30 matches, and they may have got it like one time, so they finally got some capture footage. I've literally yet to see the map, so I probably could pull it up in private matches. That might be one thing. But literally, I have not played the map yet, and I've played a decent amount of Iron Banner. I've done my challenges like every day, except maybe one this week. So I don't know if it's just on a really low, like, algorithm or something, but I don't know about you guys. I just have not seen that thing very much. So again, I'm going to post this thing up on YouTube, so if you guys are listening to it there, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know your guys' thoughts as I'm going through this stuff, and I might just ask you guys to drop a comment below and let me know. How many times have you guys seen this map? I've seen it 0 times. I actually want to see it. I haven't run around and played any yet. I kind of want to either pull it up in a map or something like that. Just might do private matches just to see the thing, but I have not seen this map. It looks cool. I always liked Bannerfall. The big tree in the middle is gone because things have been destroyed, but it was always a fun, somewhat symmetrical map, so I don't know. I'm kind of digging it so far, and most of what you'll probably see in Iron Banner is going to be Vigilance Wing or Graviton Lance. And honestly, depending on your skill level, Graviton Lance is probably quicker if you're good. Me, I have my moments, like sometimes I'll get some kills if somebody's farther away, but if somebody pushes up close to me with Graviton Lance, that's where I do tend to lose. That's where, personally, I think Vigilance Wing, while it may not be quite as good at range, because those little 2-shot bursts are pretty solid, at medium to close range, Vigilance Wing is still just melting. So I know it was at Xur last weekend, and I know it will be here. No, it's actually at Xur today. I'm sorry. It was at Xur yesterday, so it is there now. My days are a bit confused. But yeah, if you don't have Vigilance Wing, please go get it. It is an extremely good gun. Really high in the meta right now, and if you guys are joining me on Twitch, thank you for coming in. Feel free to chime in chat. I'm watching Twitch chat as well as we talk through this one, so not just a picture, actually watching this thing live, trying to keep everything going. So, hopefully you guys are enjoying Iron Banner. Now, the big thing about Iron Banner that has caused everybody to explode is not, you know, Saladin's inventory. He's got level 35 stuff to grind for, there's an emote, there's a ship, and it's all for Season 3. I think I'm already at like level 10. I mean, and I've played a decent amount. I had like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 tokens left over, which is, you know, a decent amount, but not a ton. And most of what I can say that I've got so far has been not much. I mean, you're going to get a couple ornaments for armor, which is fine. You're going to get some guns that you go along the way. I don't know if there's anything amazing in there. I haven't got my hands on them quite yet or dug into, like, you know, the hidden stats and things. I've heard people say there's a few good ones out there, so if you guys are enjoying any specific one that you got so far, let me know that as well. But overall, I mean, there's still subtle changes. It does crack me up that if you leave the chrome shader on the regular Titan armor, it looks like Shredder. So I heard that said somewhere, and it definitely makes sense. Rocket launcher is kind of a letdown for perks. I went through most of the perks on the weapons that I saw before. I mean, the rocket launcher alone isn't something I'm not going to use over Curtain Call, or I'm not going to use it over Sins of the Past. I mean, those are the two best. Cluster bombs are good. There's no tracking. There's no other bonuses. And the ones that were on there was even, I can't even, I think it's the one that when you get hurt, it helps you. And I'm like, I don't like things that wait on something to happen and then you get used in a pinch, because the only time you have heavy ammo, you do not want to be dead. So that was kind of frustrating, to say the least. It does look kind of cool. I mean, it's got its own kind of chromish spin on it. You've got the, the Warlock looking pretty aggressive. I do like the weight of the Hunter cloaks, so those look pretty cool as well. So not bad armor. I mean, it's cosmetics. That's generally what they do. So don't hold your breath on anything amazing or a high level, but that's what it's there for. So Iron Banner is doing its thing, but the big thing that freaked everybody out was the emote. Now, I've heard quite a few discussions on this. I've asked Cognito about his thoughts on it. I've actually got it here so I can kind of read. But I mean, the general idea between Fireteam Chat, between MTash, between other people when you're talking about this emote, you kind of have to take everything in context and figure out what's important to you. So, I mean, for one, the emote personally is somewhat overblown. Now, you can take this all in reference of, hey, I really like Destiny 2, Iron Banner's this really cool thing. Why is the one emote for this stuck behind Eververse for $10? And we'll get to the price point in a second, which is a place where I think they did make a misstep. But at the current state of Destiny 2, you've got, things that are broken. People are trying to get things back together. It's still not the be-all, end-all expansions that's going to bring everybody back. And then you got this emote that comes out for half the price of the expansion. And I understand it's an exotic emote. They don't charge cheap for those. That's fine. But if it was Bright Dust, I could handle that better. If it was level 50 grindable, I could probably handle that better. Just something you could earn if you want to burn through it. And not everybody would be able to get to level 50. If you don't have that much time, that's fine. Or have it in both places. Have it as a level 50 grindable. Have it in the Eververse store that if you don't have that much time but you really, really want it, that's something called supply and demand. If they made something you want and the demand is there and they charge $10 for it, then if you pay it, that's up to you. I mean, that's literally your choice. You're not being forced to buy anything cosmetic. Ever. It does not change your gameplay. It's a little emote that you can use. It's fine. And again, remember that these are cosmetic items. The shaders, the ships, the ghosts have occasional functions. I bought one ghost that I've actually really, really liked. The ghost that I'm talking about is the star map shell. And the reason I like it, it detects caches within 50-meter range and increases glimmer. And it's on all planets, which is really helpful. I see those things all the time now. And then also Omni telemetry. Gunsmith telemetry, which is basically useless anyway. But it's on any weapon kill. And honestly, it's kind of cool. So it's just two perks that are universal. I use them all the time. Whatever character I'm on, I basically use that shell. I bought that thing for 2,500, Bright Dust, but it was, random engrams in game. I slowly built it up, breaking down some shaders, breaking down some ships. It was stuff in game that got me there. So if this emote would have been Bright Dust and not in a little box for money, I think more people would have been happier. Now, do I really, really care about it? Me personally? If it's a $10 emote and I want it, that's kind of a decision I have to make. Me, I'm probably not going to fork out the $10. It looks kind of cool, but honestly, the raid emote that you can earn from the raid, which is probably random and hard to get, but cool, is still pretty cool. The drop the mic, the ramen, the popcorn. Me, all of those, while the Iron Banner one looks kind of cool, it has the glow and the big hammer and the big axe and stuff like that. Me, personally, I don't see the emote as something that's, game-breaking, and some of the other exotic emotes that are in there are probably better. I mean, yes, it's themed to Iron Banner. Iron Banner came out. Would it have been better to have it in there, just in there to earn? I think so. But, should you be freaking out about it? No. Speak with your wallet, don't buy it, and hopefully they'll change it in the future. Now, if they make something that people like and want to buy, and this is one of those things, they wouldn't put it in there if people didn't buy it. It's kind of the way business works. And if they can make something shine, if some guy sits in a corner and makes an emote, some 3D artist, and this is how this dude gets paid, is by throwing an emote in a box, and if you like it, you want to buy it, you know what? Somebody's making a living, and that's up to them. They made something you want, you found a value on it, $10, you paid for it, it's fine. You are not forced to do that, so just remember that. It's your choice, vote with your wallet. Me, I think it would have been a better decision for the community in the game that people like kind of want to enjoy, but they're still on thin ice with it. I would have liked to have seen some kind of grindable, even if the one Iron Banner emote was in that box that you could buy. If there was a different Iron Banner emote that like made a wolf appear next to you or something like that, and that was like a level 50 or a random drop from the packages, then you could at least balance it out, saying, hey, here's this one if you want to buy it, cool. But hey, here's this one in the packages, you can earn that as well. Personally, I think just something to earn. They said they were trying to steer Eververse away from just things to buy, so you can earn more things in game, and then they launch Season 3 of Iron Banner, and they turn around and put something in there that's $10. That's half the price of the expansion. Now, the price, I think, is an issue probably bigger than most things in all of this. $10 when you just dropped a $20 expansion. I know the emotes are out there for certain values, and if you want to pay it, that's fine. But $10 for an emote, I mean, they did the Michael Jackson one, and they probably literally had to pay the licensing fees for that one. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm guessing. And if that one was $7, I think, from Destiny 2, and I did buy that, because I was like, it's Michael Jackson. I'm just, screw it, yeah, it's going to happen. So that happened, but on the other side of things, this is an Iron Banner, like, glow. Yeah, the 3D, the neon-looking ones, they're exotics, they have a cool look to them. $10? Yeah, $5, I could probably see this more justifiable. But again, yeah, your expansion came out, but remember, how much have you got out of that expansion already? How many hours have people dove into trying to grind through exotic masterworks, trying to grind for Crucible rankings of, glory and valor and all that stuff? How much time have you already gotten out of a game that you may have not played in a little while, you jump back into and you get another 50 hours out of it? Or more? I spent $60 on God of War, and it was probably a 30-hour game. Probably if I'm going to burn through it, maybe 40. I've got some in-game stuff to do, but I really, really, really enjoyed that game. Now, it did a lot of things right for the price point, so I mean, it's sitting pretty high in my book right now. But on the other side of things, you've got an expansion for $20 on a game already that a lot of us have put some time into. Is it perfect? No. If Taken King in the fall is Taken King 2.0, I say, but whatever that comment level expansion is going to be in the fall, if that thing's $40 and I've got, hundreds of hours out of the game, I don't mind paying Bungie that money, because for me, it's something that I'm going to get a lot of value out of. Think as a kid, like if you bought one game, they made them really short but really hard. So Mega Man 3, for example, is like the Dark Souls now. You can burn through that game really fast if you know how to play it. It's the difficulty that lengthens that game. On the other side, Destiny 2, unfortunately, is easier, and there are some things to grind for, and I think some of that's even getting better as we progress through Destiny 2. Did it start well? No, but are things getting better? Yes. I mean, you've heard that hundreds of times. So just remember, like, if you feel like supporting the game, and you get a cool emote out of it for $10, that's your choice. But again, it's purely cosmetic. It is not going to change your gameplay at all. Nothing about that is required. So seriously, if you don't like it, don't buy it. I think you guys can probably understand where I'm coming from, and the fact that if there was something to grind for, even as well, if there was a level 50 and it was the same thing, and you're like, hey, I can either do 50 or spend $10, at least you have a choice. I think that's what most people wanted, was either a choice or just something in the grind, something that you could work on earning if it's the same thing, or maybe just another emote as well. Like, all of that would have been fine. So that's probably enough on Iron Banner. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, the chat, wherever you're at. Let me know what you guys think about this crazy emote thing going around. I think some people are hyping it out of proportion as almost clickbait. But again, I can see people's point of view. Do I think it needs all the crazy hype that it's worth? Probably not. Now, here's a different point of discussion. Hive Annihilation, this is the discussion about Escalation Protocol. Now, Escalation Protocol is, for me, a cool sounding event. I haven't got to experience level 7 yet. I haven't gotten past 2. I don't think I've actually killed the wizard yet. Now, I had my thoughts in a previous Fire Team chat, and you guys may have seen it as well. Also, if you guys have seen Paul Tassie's article, How I'd Fix Destiny 2's Escalation Protocol, sounded very similar to mine. The idea behind Escalation Protocol is it's a fun event. It's in a public space. Now, he had a cool thought on it for the timer, which actually would help too, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. If you don't read Paul Tassie's articles, he writes for Forbes. He's a good dude, seems to always have his thoughts together. Nice a good head on his shoulders. I enjoy his content. Quick, usually well-read articles. So enjoy him, and, you know, it's just something cool to check out. Yeah. So if you guys wanted to know, in chat, JD correctly, how you doing out there as well? And this is where it's like, and these are the pieces of, you know, that I wanted people to come in and chat and talk about. So he said the whole emote situation is just bad judgment on Bungie's part, in your opinion. And that's totally fine. And it's like, and on my part, I kind of agree to a level. It is a cosmetic. Do I think it was the right thing at the right time and all those pieces? I think Imtash said, it's like, could they have done it in other different ways, had different things? Was it just the wrong thing at the wrong time, kind of a straw to break a camel's back and piss people off again? I think maybe that may be the piece that's doing it more. And the price point, I think, is too high. $10 for an emote for Iron Banner. I don't know. I think if they pulled the price point back, gave you a level 50 to grind for, had another random emote. If it was like there's one Iron Banner emote at the store, and at Eververse, and then there's 2 random ones you can get, one exotic, one legendary, but both, you know, Iron Banner related that you could grind for, then I don't think it would have been as big of a deal. So it's like, if it's the one emote stuck in Eververse behind a box for money for $10, there's just a few too many things in that sentence that aren't great. If it was one for Bright Dust at Eververse, you know, that could be okay. If there was a grindable one in the same thing, again, okay. So JD correctly, I absolutely understand what you're saying, and I think you're kind of right. It's just, I think if they are going to do something, they need to balance it on the other side. So I agree the price is too high, and that's why I haven't bought it. Like, I bought the Michael Jackson dance for $7 because I was like, you know what? I had 1,500 hours in that game, and I had put so much in, I was okay with it. Bungie has not quite as many hours out of me in Destiny 2, so I haven't dumped as much in the world of emotes and buying things. So haven't bought any silver this time around, and definitely haven't bought an emo like that. So I think they could have done better, and it's one of those where I don't know if things were implemented. Somebody was like, hey, let me throw this thing in the Eververse store, but these people didn't communicate. It's still my wonder of how the communication in Bungie works, because you have a raid emote that randomly drops that's really cool, where he sits there and he's got the glass and everything, and that's really cool, and it's a random drop. You should have just done the same thing for Iron Banner. A random drop. The first person who got it would have freaked out, and then you would have more people playing Iron Banner, as opposed to sticking it in a box. So, absolutely, sorry about the tangent, but as people join in chat, that's probably going to happen. So, yeah, and then another piece as well, and Destin said this on Fireteam chat, I've been just kind of gathering as many people's thoughts as I could. The only positive thing about this, and I think you said it as well, is we actually have a chance to just straight up buy something we want. If there is something you want directly in the game, it's a direct purchase. There's no slot machine, there's no rolling, there's no chance, there's no 1 out of 10. It's just there. Even the 200 silver for, you know, a prismatic matrix, you do that, it's 2,000 silver to buy your whole box out. So, I mean, that's going to be $20. So if there's something in there you want, or later on in the season you're down to a couple, it may not take that much to get there. But right now, but again, all these are cosmetics. It's ships that don't matter, sparrows that do all basically the same stuff, and emotes, which are literally dance moves. Now, Fortnite throws them out there. I don't know how those work. Somebody didn't mention those. I need to look up how Fortnite emotes actually work. But generally, honestly, it would just be kind of nice if occasionally we just got a new season and they just gave us one as well. We have enough. We have a whole wheel for them now. Just do a Season 3 emote. Yeah, throw a bunch of them out there in Eververse. Random engrams to drop. They'll eventually get there. But give me one, just a Season 3 emote. Just do something cool, have fun, and give us all one. You log in. Here's your free emote just for giggles. Occasional free tokens like that from Bungie, I think, would actually go a long ways. Just to say, hey, you've been playing, you're logging in for Season 3. You can only get it if you log in for Season 3. It takes logging in. All they're asking you to do is turn the game on again. That'd be pretty easy, and I think that'd be a nice gesture. Little stuff like that would help push the community back in a more positive direction, as you said, as opposed to putting it in a box. And if it was for Bright Dust, I probably would have been happier too, because I probably have enough that I could afford it. Sorry, there will be a few breaks, because it is just me, so I can't, mute the mic, take a drink. So if I ever am going to sneeze, by the way, I will try and mute the mic. If I don't, I apologize. Back to Escalation Protocol. So, Couple questions were asked. What were the design goals for Escalation Protocol? They wanted a high difficult in-game activity for max player three player fire team. Okay. You have 9 people putting together groups that are relatively high, not fully maxed, but some of them are. And I know somebody like Glad and Team Redeem, who, by the way, were the first ones to do the crazy, crazy raid. They have 3-manned it. They're not the only ones who are 385. People have been grinding, doing raids, doing trials. They're not the only one 380-ish. But they're the first one to have actually done this thing. Now, do I mind a difficult activity? Absolutely not. But do I think you should be rewarded for it? Do I think there's a way to get more people into it? Do I think there's better ways to manage the matchmaking? Lots of things to this could be changed. So, let's get the questions first, and then I'll get to my thoughts. So, it was not specifically designed for 9 players. Other than raid activities, all PvE activities in private spaces are optimized for 3 players to allow multiple types of activities in the space. So, no, it wasn't designed, but it's not a surprise that it's easier with 9 players, given how, yeah, they say easier, but I've seen people struggle and, like, work through and grind and try and get all this stuff done. And the boss, where it's the reverse Crota, where you have to break the shield with the swords and then do the damage that, like, with your guns, like, the reverse way, that one looked like it was a pain in the butt between the bubbles and the swords and things like. They had so many people slamming swords, other people in the back getting ready to fire. One person up there with a bow. You'd have to have a Titan, like physically have to have a Titan, or they were all going to get smashed, and that bubble was saving their life. So 3 players, it's possible. Yes, Glad has done it. Hats off to that guy. They are a beast. But as this is a horde mode activity, as this is in a public space and people are going to just happen across it. Any plans to enable a larger fire team? They are so afraid to do that, but my honestly thoughts is they have to try and find some way to justify it because it's probably more of a technical thing. I think the technical piece of it is what potentially is holding them back, and that's why they have to try and justify it in another way. Now, public events are easy to come across. You know when they're going to happen. There's a timer. You can rally to the flag. And shout out to Paul Tassiano's article. He said that. This is one I didn't even think of. And the timer would be perfect. They're not random spawn it. Hey, 2 or 3 of us just did a public event. We finished the heroic. Let me go activate this thing. Oh, wait, 2 of them just left. It's just me. There's no semblance of like unity to say, hey, this is going to start in 10 minutes. Let's meet up here. Let's see as many people in this instance as we can get in here. We all know we're in here for Escalation Protocol. That was a really awesome idea he had. Now, the other one I had talked about before is the idea of they want this to be an end-game high difficulty activity. Okay, I'm okay with that. But you have 7 levels to this thing. I understand you want the top gear, the top loot, and the weapons or the armor set to be from that level 7. That's fine. Make it as hard as you want. And if it's 400 light level, which I hate it that it's artificial because we can only get to 385, so it's literally just artificially difficult just to make it harder. They don't make us 400 and make it 400, just give them more health. They just make them easier to kill us. It's one of those weird technical things where that delta just makes things harder. But that being said, you have 7 levels. Make 1, 2, 3, like make those feasible as you level up so you start being able to do them. If I finish the campaign and then I go turn this on and I instantly die, that doesn't make me want to go try this thing again. And what if this is the one thing that's going to help me grind? What if this is one of those, if you do level 1, you might get something up to 345, 350. Maybe level 2, it's 355 gear that drops, and you're fighting level 350 stuff. Then 360, you're fighting at level 3, then 370, then 380, then 390, and you slow down the drops as you get higher up. But use this as a way for people. This is like your big hype. This is your big piece of content, and you turn around and make it almost impossible for people to play for a couple of weeks, and you're going to lose people fast. And that's not a good thing. You want to keep people playing. You want to give people a reason. If I can sit there and grind that level 1 with a couple groups and wait for that thing to show up and be like, okay, I'm going to do Mars. Okay, I'll go do a couple of adventures, maybe do Crucible. Okay, this thing's coming up again. All right, guys, let's get our fire team out there into Mars. We've got one coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's get out there, see if we can find another fire team. Get ready for at least level 1, maybe 2. If it's at our level, we can work on that one, maybe get up to 360. And it's a progression. And I think that's where Bungie... I would love to be a fly on the wall in their offices when they're doing these meetings about progression, about some of the changes they've made and things like that. And honestly, the progression in this game has its struggles. You hit a brick wall. Now they're going to take their heroic strikes and they're going to bump those to where they have a chance every 3 to 5 strikes. And I don't know if it's continuously playing. It's just going to have a running tally that always checks. If I play 5 random strikes where I pop in, play a strike, and leave. Pop in, play a strike, and leave. If I play that 5th one and I don't get gear, and it's not just by consecutively playing strikes, that alone is a problem. But 2, it's 5 strikes, which are, I don't know, at least 20 minutes, depending on the crappy modifiers. It could be worse if the boss is kicking your butt. But if you play for 2 hours, depending on how slow they go, and you're working on trying to get some gear and grind up and you want to play, and you get one piece of gear for every 2 hours, that's brutal. Like, I mean, I know they want to slow the gear grind down, and I'm okay with them slowing it down. I'm okay with them not spoon feeding us like Iron Banner and Flashpoints and exotics and everything bumping us up. But they have to find a way to balance the progression with the activities. Say regular strikes get you to 350. Say heroic strikes get you to 360 or 355. Some 360, make it a slower grind, it's fine. But a piece of gear can drop and it's 1 or 2 above. So if I do a strike and I get, I'm 351 and I'm doing heroic strikes that, theoretically they don't. They're still going to be 350. But say I jump in and I've got 352 gear on and I'm going against the heroic strikes and they have a chance to drop 360 gear up to. Okay, so maybe I go through and I do want to get a piece that's 353. Okay, get another one that might be 354. Then another one that's 353 and I'm slowly creeping that light level up. You would have to test it out to see what would be too fast. But again, I think you need to find some way to give me a reason to run strikes. If I finish the campaign at 340 and that wall is at 345 and it's just like a brick wall outside of milestones, that sucks. It's just, it really slows people down and it discourages people from continuing to play because they're like, well, what else do I do? I can't do in-game. Escalation Protocol roasts me and I'm 345 and these heroic strikes are not easy and I'm not getting anything good from them. What do I do? Okay, I can go grind my flashpoints. That's 1 piece of gear. Maybe 2. I can go do some Crucible. Okay, I can do that. I can't get a raid group together. Not everybody can do solo Nightfalls, and guided games takes like half an hour. So what are my options? There are not many options, and you have a ton of content in your game. Absolutely a ton of content in your game. What's up? Yep, Yagami, how you doing? Feel free to chime in and chat as well as we chat. But you have so much content in your game, and the progression is not there. They could use Escalation Protocol to help people level up. Don't make it fast. All of those pieces, like make it a relatively hard difficulty. So if you get like 6 people in an area and they're working on the Escalation Protocol for level 2 and they're like 350, 360 and they're working through it and that 1 piece of gear drops, that's not an easy thing to accomplish because that wizard has a butt ton of health. But if you like take it 370 or 400 or all those pieces, just everything rocks your socks off and there's no easy way to get up there, it's a problem, but not an easy way to get up there. There's no progression to get there. It's literally a wall or you do basically, in-game stuff. You can do trials, you can do raids. And I'm not opposed to that being in-game. Make that hard wall outside of in-game stuff. Make that at 370. Make it at 375 with mods. So those last 10 levels outside of mods, because, 375 would be 385 with mods. So 370 without mods, those last 10 levels has to be the raid. Has to be that level. Or has to be your in-game Escalation Protocol level 7 drops only. You're going to go grind this thing that's going to take you 30 minutes or so to go through all the levels. I don't know, probably to do a rotation of it. Get enough people together, have a good run. It's not going to be fast. But if I dump like 4 hours into a game and I feel like I'm getting nowhere, that's not really a good experience for your player. So they seem kind of hell-bent right now. Yeah, 350 to 370 is rough. What am I sitting at right now? I think I'm 357 literally on both. And I'm kind of pegged there. I could do a couple more milestones on my Warlock, maybe get it up a little bit. But outside of that, I'm basically at a wall until milestones start over again. And if you want us to continually play, you want it to be a hobby, you've got to allow us to have a reason to play. Because once my milestones are done, if I can't find a raid group, and I'm not saying I haven't, I've gone on LFG plenty of times, I found them, I've played, had fun raids, it's cool, it's fine, it works. Not everybody is up for that, not everybody is willing to, not everybody can. There can be other people playing. Find a way to have a progression, something where you feel like you get some accomplishment out of it. If I log in, run around, pick up a few fragments, that's cool. At least I know I'm working for something. If I'm working on grinding my exotic Darcy masterwork and I got to get headshot kills, it's something I'm working on. But as I'm doing that stuff, let me like slowly tick my gear up, even if it's like a pretty slow trickle. Right now it's none. Your blues, I get spammed 4 blues at the end of a Crucible match, and they're all useless. They're all 7 levels below me, basically, at this point. It might level up 1 piece of gear, 1 more point. So it's this little tiny, like, just spam of crap that I don't care about. And it's just one of those pieces. Sorry, reading chat and trying to talk at the same time is a bit of a struggle. But generally, it's one of those things. Yeah, heroics at 357. It's a hard time without being one shot occasionally. And today is grounded. If you jump and you're in a strike where you have to jump, you're going to die. Literally, it's 5 times damage, you're done. Doesn't matter if it's a thrall, you're definitely toast if it's a sniper. Now, I did the one where it was the power weapon ammo, but it was also paired with the light switch for Destiny 1, which is now Blackout or something like that. The one where melee damage is like 20x, which is ridiculous. They just say melee damage is fatal, which is fine. But generally, if I'm going through those and I'm kicking my butt, I was working on Zal on a strike with modifiers, and unfortunately I just kept dying because it was just crappy modifiers. We spent 30 minutes on that boss, and I still get nothing. I was doing it for the milestone, but once I'm done with the milestone, I'm throwing my hands up. I'm done with heroics for the week on that character because there's no other point. And that's, I think, the part that frustrates me the most. If there was more purpose, more point to doing all of that stuff, small progression, little baby ticks, working through Escalation Protocol, it would help. So if they want it to be in-game activity for 3 people to go into a mode and launch it, I can see that as being one thing. And especially for the higher levels of the Escalation Protocol, that can be fine as well. Now, is it a 3-player activity? Listening to Flashpoint, they respectfully disagree. They feel like you could probably need some more people just to manage that thing. So we'll see what it takes as we get up to higher level. I'm not there yet, though, so I'm not quite in a position to speak about it. I don't mind hard content. Play Mega Man 3. Play God of War on hardest difficulty. Or do a fight in God of War that's over your level. Learn the fights. Die like 10 times fighting a guy. Those are things I don't mind because it's me learning a skill, me getting better, improving, and finally getting to the point where it's a hard fight, but I finish it off. If this is a point where it's like Escalation Protocol, there's no way I'm going to even come close to getting a skill that's going to get there. I could have the best jump and twitch shooting skills in the world, but if it's just OP and overleveled, I don't have a chance. And at 3 people, if that's all you can get into there, and there's no other way to really find people, that's kind of an issue. So 2 things that I liked about Paul Tassie's article. 1, and I agreed with him because I said it before, make this thing in levels. I'll literally show it to you guys. So this was the thing I liked the most, and this is what I was talking about. Round 1, difficulty, 340, 350, 360, 370, 380, 390, 400. It's still going to be endgame right here. This doesn't change. But as you progress, you can play some. As I level up a little more, if I'm playing with one of my friends who's like 350, hey, let's go get round 2. And give us something, by the way. I think that was the other piece he stated, was the fact that there are squat for rewards until you get to 3. Make 1 and 2 even just tokens. Tokens don't mean squat. We have plenty of those across the board. They don't mean much. But at least if we finish a round, give me something, not just a blue that doesn't mean crap. Yeah. Blues, 340 blues, 350 blues, something in there. Even if it's just a blue that you know you're going to infuse, make it drop like, 2 or 3 below your level. 360, 370 legendaries. Yep, legendaries. See, just, progression. That's all I'm asking for. Just find a way to use your content, let more people play it. If I jump in and round 1's 340, I'm like, hey, I'm 350. Okay, we got this one kind of covered. Well, that makes sense because I'm 357. Now, round 2. Make that one a struggle. That's fine. 350 is a struggle, and 360 should start to kick my butt a little bit. But make those a point to where there's a reason for me to do something. If I pop this thing up in the back and I ask, I'm helping Rasputin pull out the hive so I can kill him and he can pull him away from the war sat, and then I pick up the sword and I start smashing people and I'm doing next to nothing, it's kind of annoying. So a way to level this thing up, have a level of progression to this awesome thing that you advertise. So many people love this mode. And this is just a public event, basically a, public event on steroids. It really is. So take your time, give us the rewards that make it count. I mean, as you said, 340 to 350 drops in blues, 360 to 370 drops in legendaries. And that's just kind of one of those things. It's the rewards in the right areas. The heroic strikes dropping 340, I know that had to be tested, and that bugs me. Heroic strikes dropping 340 blues or 335 blues or whatever they were that were basically wasting your time because they're 10 levels below where you are, probably when you're trying them, sucks. I go do a difficult activity, I don't get anything that helps me at all. Not even a legendary engram that's at my level or one above. Anything, one above. I'm not asking for a lot. But if I grind heroic strikes up to 350 and I'm not getting anything for doing a 350 activity, what is the point? Yeah, and then you've got a 300 raid. This is another thing where rewards are kind of screwed up. You've got the raids. They're all at 300. They drop all the way up to 385. So you can do your milestones. If you're a solo player, do your milestones, have 6 or 7 drops if you do them all. But that means you still have to be able to do a raid and trials. Not everybody can do that, so take that away. You've got Crucible. So you've got Flashpoint. You've got Strikes. You've got a Nightfall, which technically you can guided games into. It might take you half an hour, but you might get there, so that's 4. Then you'll have your Clan XP when they fix that one. That's 5. 5 milestones where you can get gear. If you do those 5 and you are not a group person, you have nothing else to play for. Now, will I suggest everyone to play the raid? Absolutely, because the raids in this game are freaking amazing. They are awesome. They are a lot of fun. The group activity is good. Unfortunately, as the only 2 things you're going to get out of the new raid lair are the sidearm and the fusion rifle, that's kind of a slap in the face. What happened to the new Taken King raid, or even Crota raid, after Vault of Glass? We got a new set of hive weapons, a whole new set. And then we went into Prison of Elders, and we got some weapons that could potentially drop out of there. More than 2. I don't know if it was more than 4, but we definitely had more than 2. So putting rewards in the right places and letting some stuff be accessible, maybe not the highest in stuff, but if you want people to get used to running this one, be like, hey, we got up to level 3. Hey, we had a few extra people here. Holy crap, we got up to 4 and I saw this new thing. And it's helping you progress along the way, getting you used to it. That way you can share, more people can share information about how to get better about this activity. So do I think they should have 9-player matchmaking? Honestly, I think that's a technical difficulty. So do I think this will happen? Probably not. Now, do I think if you put a timer on the map, just like a public event, and it shows up and then it spawns, that would be freaking, almost an easy fix. Your public events already work that way. Why not do a escalation protocol that way? So you don't have to activate it. You have more people show up on a timing thing. I think that's one of the best things he said, because the escalation of the levels as you progress, I mean, yeah, that one, I agree with him. Said it before. But that timer, that was I read that and I was just light bulb, throw that on there. People know when to go there, and as one will finish, you'll probably have the other side probably be ready in about 10 minutes. You shouldn't have that long if you bounce it between, back and forth between locations in each instance or something like that. Maybe a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minute gap between. But if you're running around shooting a few things and you know it's coming, yeah. Some way to flash on the map, some way to make the icon bigger, some way to say, hey, Escalation Protocol is happening right now in this region, go down there and help and give it some time to start. Be like, hey, this is starting up, have the thing come out, be like, you have 60 seconds to get down there. People would fast travel, join it up, just some announcements to know that it's going to happen, and then I think you'd have more people there. So yeah, A flash on the map, a flash on the screen, be like, Escalation Protocol is happening in the Glacial Drift. It has been going to be starting on 55, 54. Means they've activated it, but the enemies are not coming out yet. And it's a way to pull people to it. Like, you don't have to have people tricking people into... Yeah, this is also one of the reasons Archon's Forge failed. People had to be there. People had to have a currency to activate it. And it's just one of those pieces. It's like, make it accessible. Like, this is what they did before. They had the Infinite Forest. They hyped it up. They used it for, like, a go-between, like, you know, a highway bypass for your way to the other end of adventures and a few missions and the strikes, which were just story missions. I know that's a whole different matter entirely. But all those pieces were just something that, for me, they wasted an entire space. If I was running around Mercury and I just walked into the Infinite Forest, who knows where it takes me? Maybe it's going to take me to the past, and maybe there's a little teleporter like on Nessus, or if you get to the end of an area that you already took a teleporter through, teleport back, and you'll like land back at, you know, Osiris's base. What is his buddy? I can't even, just the Mercury landing point. You take that and be like, hey, do you want to finish this area out? Are you done? Fine. It would have more reason to go in those new areas and progress. Have a few random instances in there. They already had the pieces in there. Just let us go explore, let us go fight, have some missions out there, have some random collectibles. They could have used the Infinite Forest better. And this is the same point with Escalation Protocol. They have a really, really cool activity, but they're making it so difficult to get to. It was the currency before for Archon's Forge. It was somewhat of a frustration with the Court of Oryx because you had to have the right things that you had to level up so you could activate the right one. And then it was on a week's rotation, so then this was here. It's like, some of the rotations is cool. I can understand that. Make you like consistently play. But just make it to where people can enjoy some of it. If you want it to be in-game, leave it at 370, 380, 390, 400. For those higher levels, level 5, 6, and 7, make that kick my butt if I'm too low. That's fine. If I get there and I'm like getting one shot and I understand, it's like, hey, we got through 2 levels, 3 is starting to be brutal, 4 whooped me. I'm out. Okay, I know, but at least make it to where I can get a little bit of something out of the first couple levels and make it something I can get better at slowly. Sorry, little sip. So I think that's my rant on Hive Annihilation. At some point, I feel like I should get like a Discord server, have more of you guys in here if I ever do one of these solos again, and let you guys come in and chat as well. Would be kind of curious to open the mic, but I'm trying to say as much that is coming through Twitch chat as well. So thank you guys for being on Twitch. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Always appreciated for the viewing and the chat and just good discussions. So that is my thoughts on Escalation Protocol. It is a cool activity. I've seen some really cool things. I like the big boss fights in the end. I like that there are certain things to grind for in it, but just make it a little more accessible at the lower levels so there's some practice on it. More people get incentivized to try and play it and grind up to it, and give us a progression as we go through it. I will work on an Ebontis Discord. I actually have one. I will try and get a link up by the end of chat so you guys could join me sometimes in there as well. So... do I think the 9 players is going to happen? Probably not. Do I think the whole way people are getting 9 players in, it's unfortunate that people have had to resort to that. People get creative to try and make an instance happen, and that's fine. Do I think bigger fire teams should happen? Yes, please make it an option for some of this stuff. But that's the whole point of, like, if you wanted to make an entire instance like a more challenging instance of a patrol. What if you want to make like a Nightfall difficulty patrol? Give me a 360 patrol with higher rewards. So if I run around and do a public event that's legendary, I actually worry if the legendary is going to kick my butt, but you get some good level stuff from it. I mean, just give me a higher difficulty. Just crank everything up in the region. So that would be a reason you'd want more people to join. But I wish they would do fire teams. I don't think the 9's going to happen. I understand their design goals. Just make it more accessible at the lower levels. I think I've rambled on probably way too long for this one. But it's a good topic. There's a lot of pieces to it, and I hope they fix it. I hope they listen. I hope they're not so stubborn that they don't pay attention to what people actually want, to appreciate the difficulty in the activity, but ease into it and give them a reason to play it. So, we have some more stuff coming. As for, here, I'm going to switch this up real quick. So get a little bit of Bungie going here. We have development roadmap still coming. So, open this guy on a new tab. There. So coming soon, and this is literally like 4 days from now, so this will be Tuesday. 1.2.1 is coming. The rallies patch, if you want to call it that. Faction rallies are coming back. Now, my only worry about this, they've literally said nothing about what they're doing, and this week at Bungie didn't mention it at all. So I don't know what's coming, which kind of worries me. Now, I've heard rumors and data mining and things like that different factions are going to have exotic masterworks to grind for. If that's literally all it is, and I've heard one of them is Graviton Lance, everyone's going to be the Graviton Lance faction first. Or if you can use other characters, you're just going to get all three. So if they want to change this thing up, they've got to make your choice matter. They've got to give you a reason to want to grind. The emblems and stuff for the armor needs to be a lot better than, Dead Orbit getting a white brushstroke on black, and then the Future War Cult just being kind of blah. Like, the New Monarchy was cool. Some artist had fun with that one, and then he had like 5 minutes to do the other two. I know that sounds terrible. No offense to any of the artists. You guys do awesome jobs. Destiny 2 looks freaking amazing. But, on the other hand, the two other factions didn't get much because everybody wanted the shiny armor. New Monarchy just kept winning. No matter what guns, you gave them a grenade launcher and they still won. That tells you how much the shiny stuff can matter. So, hopefully they matter, but I want a live counter. If I go check in with, Iron Banner, and I have a progress on my ranking, if I go check in with New Monarch and I pledge to them, be like, hey, right now we're sitting at like 33%. Even if it's just a daily update, like every day's reset at noon central my time. If that comes through and then I go to New Monarchy at like 12:30, how are we sitting from yesterday? Are we sitting at 30%? Are we sitting at 20%? Are we sitting at 50% of the three? Like, how comfortable are you? And I think that would at least give you some point of reference to know how things are going. Some in-game reference, so it's not just this arbitrary thing that we get later. Be like, oh, they won when you log in at reset. Okay, that's fine. But it'd be nice to know, like, if you actually want to switch between, if you want to, fight for yours even more. Just be nice to have some real-time info on that one. But for the faction rallies, it still needs to be more than just go grind public events or go grind lost sectors for tokens that you turn in for more tokens. Specific things from them. Specific, an armor set. Armor is a whole thing I could do a video on and rant like I have probably as long as I have for this stream. And that's probably an issue, but armor for me is one of those that needs a huge revamp, and I'm waiting for September for that one. I'm not holding my breath. But armor needs to matter more. All I have is my one set with the perks, with the mods on it that I like, and I infuse every single thing into it. I don't need anything else. I may not look that great, but some of the mods are hard to come by, and if you get your mod in a piece of armor that you like, then you're set. You don't really need to worry about it. It's still just cosmetic, doesn't do squat. So, I have no idea what's coming with faction rallies. If you guys have any thoughts, theories, wonderings, leave them in the comments, say something in chat. I'm kind of curious what you guys think is coming with faction rallies. Me, I've heard some really cool ideas. What if you went into PvP and it was paired up and you were like, hey, I pledged a New Monarchy. Okay, this time you're going against Dead Orbit only. If you win, you get some points for New Monarchy. And the next time you go in, if you're paired with New Monarchy people, then you're going against Future War Cult. And it will pair you up with, like, different people. Matchmaking may take a little longer, but you know what? That's fine. And just faction rallies are across the board. Every playlist is just going to have that involved. So I'm not saying that's an easy thing for their algorithms to do. I'm not a game maker. I understand that. But that would be a way to make Crucible matter. For faction rallies, have some, like, public event. Have something on each planet, or if you're going to go do it, have it be something that if I'm New Monarchy and I'm trying to kill the most people in this public event, and there's a boss and we're trying to get enough New Monarchy people to do the most amount of damage to the boss on this event, and if you win and you get the most out of that event, then you get a huge chunk for yours as you're sitting there fighting for it. And it's like, a timer where the thing comes up once every hour or something like that, and it rotates between planets. You got to kind of like hunt it down. there are ways to add things to this game to have us stuff to fight for, to have faction rallies kind of matter, have us battle between each other. It's not PvP, but it's like, hey, I'm really paying attention. I want to get as many kills as possible. I want to do as much damage as possible. Yeah. I mean, the other one, just as you got me saying here in chat, PvP that's 2v2v2. That would be freaking awesome. 3 pairs running at each other, and whoever wins the match, you're from different factions. You know, if you win the match, you get a decent boost. 2v2, 2v2v2, 3v3v3, 4v4v4. You can have 12 players in a match. Iron Banner proved it. So 4v4v4 in Iron Banner, and you each basically have 1 point of control. It's going to get to be a mess, but it's going to be pretty entertaining. Or just it's Clash. You have 3, and you always have your kind of general starting zones. You don't run from that. And I mean, that would be one of those ways to have a little bit of fun with it, I think. So I think faction rallies could be really cool, but so far they've pretty much gone belly up on these so far. And I would love to see, because we haven't heard anything. We have no notes. We have no patch, no idea. It's going to kick off next week, and I'm going to have no idea what's happening. And then I'm going to go to work and wait for everything to get figured out and solved by the time I get home. So we'll see how that goes. But that being said, we also have Crucible Labs coming, which I think is going to be really cool. Just because it'll give us a chance to see things before they're actually live. So just like as we have our selectors in the Crucible playlist where it's Quick Play and Iron Banner and Trials of the Nine, and then you've got competitive, I think there should be one more button down there by private matches. Move that one to the left and put that one to the right. Crucible Labs. And if you go in there, you'll know that you need to check out what the meta is. It's probably going to say it in the patch notes for the week or this week at Bungie. This is going to be huge. So if they go in and people are saying, hey, make 3-shot hand cannons, make auto rifles be insane, crank them up and be like, we just want to test stuff and get your feedback. Crank up the time to just crank everything up to like 25% more. Have supers come back faster. Have grenades hit more. Have shoulder charge hit harder. I hate how weak shoulder charge is. I come around a corner, I time a shoulder charge. It's my main ability. I use it. I'm out for a while. Nada. Yeah, no rewards. That's fine. Just, give feedback. That's fine. And literally, you could even have something at the end of Crucible Labs just say, rank this match 1 to 10. And then, they have one thing they're working on, be it hand cannons. Hand cannons have changed. Did they feel great? Thumbs up, thumbs down. And they can use that and probably look at all the videos and the forums and all that stuff. Yeah. You got me comments like, shoulder charge takes off 3/4 of the shield. Every time I do that, the fact that I'm running to you, I'm getting shot, and then I charge, you punch me, and I die. I lose those battles every time. I switched it over so I don't use shoulder charge anymore, but it's still just like, and the whole 3-punch melee. Oh my gosh, like, I'm a Guardian, and I'm a Titan, which, by the way, that's a whole different matter. The classes don't matter. But the fact that I'm a Titan and I shoulder charged you and then you're just going to punch me once after you shot me a couple times and I can't kill you because I have to reset, pull my gun back out, I cannot win that battle. Shoulder charge is just brutally bad. So that would be one. Hey, Crucible Labs, bring back shoulder charge. Crank it up to 15 instead of 11 and let me one-shot people with it, but make it a slow timer. But if I'm running around the corner and I catch somebody just right, hey, just like if you pick up power ammo and a shotgun, and you hear somebody coming around the corner and I get a shoulder charge on you, that's fine. Just don't have it come up that often. Yep. Yeah. Long charge time, but strong on impact. Perfectly stated. So, now the other piece that is coming is the exotic armor sandbox changes. Now, as we know, this is one of those pieces. Go back to full screen so you guys can see this stuff in a little better viewing. Exotic armor changes are coming. Now, I have my full issues with armor, so here's going to be a small tangent. My issues with armor is that it doesn't matter, and I already told you guys that. The perks don't matter. Your resilience, your recovery, your mobility, they don't matter enough. I can't get my stats from they only go up to 10, and you can barely get those things up there depending on your character. I want to be able to get resilience up to 50. Mods give me 5. Each piece of armor can give me 5. And if I crank everything up, my resilience is 50. I'm not fast, but I can take what's our health in PvP right now? 200. But if I crank it up to 50, maybe I take 3 or 4, but I'm slow as molasses. On the other hand, if you're a really mobile hunter and you go full mobility, you're invisible, then you can strafe back and forth really fast so you're tough to hit. I have more damage, so you can jump around and be all bouncy. Make those... And it doesn't even have to be Titan and Hunter. Just make the fact that those matter. Recovery, like, I can do resilience, that's health. I can do mobility, that's speed to move. Recovery, I'm still kind of torn on because I don't know how to... If you crank that thing up to, like, 50, what that stat would do in the way health and mobility, just speed of movement, are fairly easy ones to define. I don't know how to define recovery because that's just your shield recharge rate. Because if it's up to 50, in theory, if I applied the other two, my shield would constantly just be like almost coming back all the time. So you would literally just have to like continually shoot. Like if you stopped shooting me, basically, I would get it back. So I know that doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to figure out in my head what you would do with recovery, and I've still tried to figure that out for a while. But either way, I also want armor to have perks on it that matter. Be like, hey, this piece of armor, this Crucible set, has a thing where your grenade recharge time is 20 seconds faster. Cool. I have this set of raid armor, or I have a set of, I have a helm I got from the strikes, or a helm I got from Escalation Protocol, for example. I got a piece of armor there, and you know what it does? It allows the Valkyrie to last for 10 more seconds, or it allows me to have hive resistance when on Mars, or just fighting hive in general. Like, give me specific perks that have decent chunks where I can customize and build a playset and have different sets of armor that do different things. I want armor to matter. So all of that being said, and I can go deeper into that on a separate video, that's another story entirely. But we have armor updates coming for the exotics. Now, some of these feel a little minor to me in comparison to the weapons. Some of the weapons got some substantial upgrades. Like Graviton Lance, it was reworked into a 2-shot. The burst is like really fun to shoot. The headshots are even more damage. You can 3-shot somebody with that thing if you're really good with it. And it explodes more void damage and more of a direct path of where it was around. And to top all of that off, it's got void axiom bolts. It's got like 4 or 5 different things. It's got tons of stuff to it. So that was a big one. Then you've got something like Vigilance Wing, which just got a buff. It's like a workhorse. Yeah, we're getting to some bracers here in a minute. Hold your horses. Yeah, there's some cool ones. I will admit, some sound kind of awesome. But I still want them, as they did with some of the exotics. Some got a good buff. Like Vigilance Wing, it is just a 5-shot burst. It's kind of like the Mida multi-tool. It's a workhorse. And now Pulse Rifle's got a good enough buff that is a workhorse that kicks some butt. And I really like Vigilance Wing. Graviton Lance is kind of fun. What they did to Tractor Cannon was perfect. That was honest, like that is an exotic in all levels of that word. It is exotic because it suppresses, so it works the way a grenade can, as it's a shotgun. It still launches people. It does void damage, but it makes you more susceptible to future void damage. So 2 shots will do some more damage. If you put it on a boss, you can now use this thing in PvE, risk versus reward, get in close, hit it with the tractor cannon, go launch a Nova Bomb and watch the damage tick up. So some of those they have cranked up a lot. Sturm and Drang, still kind of meh. I mean, I can look through most of my exotics and probably tell you the ones that are okay and could be better. So you've got Skyburner's Oath. While I think it's cool, I don't think it's powerful enough. I've used it and I like it in kind of a fun way. I still think it needs to hit harder. You've got Darcy, which is now 4x damage. Like, they did some of these really well. I honestly am like, I'm a fan of most of these. Rat King, the fact that you have to use it in a group, it's just too gimmicky. It's still hard to kind of like find a good thing out of. Crimson, you get the masterwork on that thing, you max out its range, and you use that thing in a PvE situation. It's kind of really cool. It's like, they've done well on a decent amount of these. The colony is still just brutal when it comes to PvP, so that's just there. I think Jade Rabbit still needs some help. Mida multi-tool, while it's a workhorse, it's just like, it boosts movement speed. That's literally all it does. I'm like, come on, it's a scout rifle that boosts movement speed. Yeah, it can be a 4-shot, but it needs a little help for it to be exotic, as opposed to, why would I use that over Graviton Lance at this point? 3-shot versus 4-shot. It needs a little bit. So that being said, some of them they did really, really well on. A few of them still need brought up, but overall, I think they did a pretty solid job on weapons. They're pretty cool. Most of them have some really, really fun stuff to them. They feel distinct. There's some tough decisions. Do I go Darcy now? Do I go Merciless to melt some bosses? Do I go Wardcliff Coil, which they took the glitch away, which is probably fine. Or do I go Sunshot so I can explode heads, which may need a little bit of a boost. It feels kind of... But the idea is I'm making decisions. There's actually some stuff in there that's kind of cool. So, when it comes to armor, some of these can be cool. I just seriously want these to crank some stuff up. Yes. By the way, grenade launchers, those are just... I don't know if they're just sitting in a sandbox somewhere and they got buried by the sand and they forgot about them. Because I think they boosted the blast radius for 1.2 for Warmind by 0.5. I'm like, you know how bad grenade launchers suck right now? You need to have some grenade launchers that are like napalm grenade launchers. You need some other grenade launchers that are like void smoke grenade launchers. You need some that are going to be like arc pulse grenade launchers. You need these things to have differences to them. Fire different grenades, like legendaries, and then exotics that crank it up even more. Grenade launchers are so awful. They need some help, big time. So that needs a revamp. Please bring back machine gun. Yeah, a mini Dragon's Breath would be freaking awesome. You launch a couple of those from distance at a point on Iron Banner, and you're going to lock that thing down. But that's because instead of your grenade that takes a minute and a half to 2 minutes to get back, or however long they take to recharge, you got the power ammo, and you threw a couple of grenades on there, you lock down that point again. Cool. What if there's another one that's like a suppression grenade that you can launch from range? Out of a grenade launcher, that thing's got a lot more of a direct shot and launch. Or what if it's a suppression one that you fire, and then when it's in the air, you let go, and it drops, and it just booms. And you launch that at B on... Why can I not remember that damn map name? I'll think of it here in a little while. But you launch it at a point B where people are sitting on, and they're suppressed. They can't jump, they can't get away, and you've just make those things interesting. There are ways to do it, again, and I'm not a game creator. I'm not going to imagine to be. But, man, grenade launchers kind of suck. But, that being said, we have armor that is going to be getting some changes. So, Titans. Syntheseps. Now, currently Syntheseps, because I'm pretty sure I have most of these right now. If I don't, I'll be kind of laughing at myself. Do I really not? Nope. Apparently I do not. Oh, they're arms. That's because I'm stupid. Okay, so currently increases melee lunge range. Improved melee damage when surrounded. Alright, so picture this thing in PvE. Increases melee lunge range. Not doing much. Improved melee damage when surrounded. Does that mean 1 enemy is near you, or 3, or 4, or what? I would love a little more definition on basically every tooltip. They have tooltips. Sometimes they don't tell you squat that matters, though. So, what are they changing? Mechanically, they're changing it. Previously, the perk adjusted your melee damage depending on the number of enemies surrounding you. Now it grants a flat bonus to melee. Okay. And super damage. When you're surrounded by 3 or more enemies, the buff is retained for a short duration after you are no longer surrounded. So, if you're wearing Syntheseps and say you have super damage and you have multiple enemies around you and then you pop a Titan Slam, well, that thing might be doing even more damage. So if you're fighting a boss, it might be a good thing. The melee damage, yeah. Now, they said, although Syntheseps has gotten a fair bit of love in the Crucible, seriously, apparently I'm missing out on the meta here, players are often focused on the increased lunge rate. And that's one thing that can make sense. Punches are hard enough to win the battle on if you can get, increased melee lunge range. If you can punch farther away, especially with the T-Rex arms, it's probably going to be a little bit better. So generally, that's what they're going for. But again, they're taking this one, and I think this one feels fairly minor. A flat bonus to melee, no matter what, and super damage when surrounded by enemies. Okay, but that means I have to put myself in a tough spot. What if I keep my range? What if I use a scout rifle? What if I use a sniper? What if I use Graviton Lance and I'm not close to anything? I'm literally not going to use this thing ever. Now, it's not my playstyle. I'm not going to run with a shotgun and run and gun. But generally, you don't want to be surrounded by enemies. So putting yourself in that situation is a whole lot of risk for what I find to not be that big of a reward. So this is one of those where I'm seeing this one not as one that's probably going to jump out and be amazing. And this is what they're changing it to. So there lies part of my problem. Now, if this was, mechanical changes, does this, and boosts super, time by 10%. I'd be like, okay, now we're talking. Like, give me another perk on there that does something towards my abilities, my super, my barricade, grenades, whatever. Something. Now, Lion Rampart could be something for highly skilled people in PvP. I could see being really cool. So currently what it does, and you guys can't see it, but I'm just looking at it on my other screen. It is, where'd it go? So, provides additional aerial maneuverability. Well, that's it. Now, that's pretty minor. I kind of hate that was literally the exotic that got out the door. Provides additional aerial maneuverability. And then we just talked about the Syntheseps. Increased melee lunge range and melee damage when surrounded. Like, these are exotic pieces of armor, which unfortunately got thrown at us. But then in turn, this is what got out the door and this is what released. And if I pick up a piece of, what's the perk? Aerial maneuverability. Okay, for one, that's very vague, and two, that does almost nothing for me. Why would I ever use this thing? I mean, those are the questions when it came to exotics when I was like, when they said, hey, we want to make exotics feel exotic again. I was kind of like, hell yeah, because they feel pretty weak right now. So what they're going to do now, you can hip fire while lift is active. Your jump, I always have to call it lift, without interrupting it. And your aerial hip fire doesn't have air accuracy penalty. Now, Miss 5000 Watts is probably going to love that. She talks about air accuracy more than anybody I've heard. But if that's your playstyle, that's fine. And this is one that can actually, like, if you're jumping up in the air and you're looking at somebody, there's no air accuracy aerial accuracy penalty, and you're able to take somebody out because of these, because you're floating, because you're in the air, because you're rushing towards somebody, and you can move. That could be something in the right hands I could see being really good. For me, probably not a big one, but I can see in the right hands of that being beneficial. So I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt, wait and see how that one turns out. Next, we have the Hunters. So we've got the Dragon Shadow. Currently, actually, I probably do not have Dragon Shadow. Do I? Did I buy it? I do. So, what does it do normally? Grants increased movement and weapon handling speed for a short time after dodging. So literally, I dodge, I move a little faster, and I have better handling, so bringing up and raising up weapons. And that's an exotic piece of armor. Again, what bugs me about these is like such minor perks. Like if I dodge and I'm wearing an exotic and I want to pick it over something else, make me invisible or give me a refill stuff, do something with that. It's pretty minor. So now it's going to dodge reloads all weapons simultaneously. That's not terrible. And the effects of Wraith Metal Mail now also include a bonus to mobility. So, reloading all the weapons, it's not terrible. And then the perk, you're going to get increased movement and weapon handling speed and mobility, which I guess is just the other stat. So mostly it's just a full reload and you move a little faster. I mean, Hunters, they're all already dodgy and twitchy as it is. So if you dodge, probably is going to be a little insane. I'll see if this thing is sounding better than it could be. But again, I feel like Hunter's class perk alone isn't that great, much less other things. So although Dragon Shadow does have a small following, we wanted to make it more useful in some general sense under more neutral conditions while keeping the theme of a fast-moving ninja. So they're going for fast-moving ninja, even quicker. Now, if you're going to do something like this and you dodge, how often does your dodge come up? Every minute or so? Maybe. If I'm running this exotic and all I get to do is be a ninja, you better hope that perk lasts about 10 seconds. If it's like 3, that's going to kind of be useless. So, again, just go a little harder into the exotics. That's all I'm asking. Cranking each one up to 11 or 12 will be, I think, a good thing. And then tune some stuff back if you need to, but it's a little more fun to break some stuff and see what happens. Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves. So, for the Hunters, I don't even know if I've got those things. Probably not, actually. I don't think I've got those yet. Okay. So, basically what they want to have happen, swapping to a sidearm while critically wounded greatly increases its damage. So they went for the fantasy of a holdout weapon, pistol tucked into your sleeve that you pull out in emergency to save you. Now, this has got to be Crucible only, because, for one, sidearm, not probably the most useful thing in PvE that I've usually seen most people run. If you're going to run a scout and a pulse or a hand cannon and a scout rifle, I don't see sidearms. Excuse me. Sidearms, submachine guns, hardly ever used in PvE. They just don't have much of a use out there because of their proximity, their range, their bullet hoses, and they just don't do enough damage, I think, for what they do. So, typically not one that I see very frequently. I'm not saying you can't use them. I'm just saying I just don't see them that often, depending on how you play. So, getting critically wounded in PvP, that's kind of a risky endeavor. If you're running a sidearm, you might have to get a little closer, but then greatly increasing its damage. Now, the only thing I would say that they probably need to add to this, Mechaneer's, changes. Like, every so often it can't proc all the time. Maybe you make this thing like nearly an instant switch. So if I'm going to take advantage and I'm almost dead, if I pull out that instant switch and then get that kill, that's how that becomes useful. So make it a quicker switch to that sidearm so I can actually use those shots. Because if somebody's already using Graviton Lance, by the time I've switched my weapon, I'm dead. So it's got to be really fast and in that moment, because otherwise that greatly increased damage, you're never even going to get a chance to fire it. We'll see, again, but I don't think either of the hunters got an amazing buff. We'll see if some of the other ones get something later. Lunafaction boots. Now, these are ones now, the Warlocks, I think, got like some of the best things out there, personally. So, you've got the Lunafaction boots. What they did, the Rift reload is now automatic instead of being activated on entry and exit. Empowering Rift makes weapons more effective at extended ranges as well. So, you're boosting weapon ranges. Reload is automatic when standing in there. I mean, you could switch back and forth between Lunafaction Boot Warlock for the raid and then a Rally Barricade in the raid. And you can have, oh man, people are going to be melting some bosses. So this one sounds pretty cool. So players having to dip in and out of the Rift to reload their weapons was not consistent with the other Rift effects, particularly with the Overshield effect on healing Rift, because yeah, you leave and it's gone. So it has been made automatic to be easier to understand and use, as this is a more offensive choice in terms of Rift exotics. We also wanted to further reward players who want to double down on empowering Rift instead of playing it safe with the healing Rift. So extra range, I guess, in PvP is what you're going to be getting here as well. I still think the healing Rift is probably what you're going to see most of the time. But just the reloading in and out, I think for raids and boss fights and things like that, Lunafaction boots for your PvE Warlocks, this is going to be a thing you definitely want to get. Finally, we come to the Sunbracers. Now, these are pretty cool. What did it used to do? I know I've got them, so give me a second. Here. Sunbracers increase the duration of solar grenades and grants grenade energy on solar melee hits. Okay, so solar grenades last longer, and you get grenade energy on solar melee hits, so your solar has to be charged. What does it do now? Increase the duration of solar grenades, same. Solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. So if you manage to shoot somebody and then punch somebody, because it has to go that way, because if you get a solar kill, maybe or maybe it will not be the killing blow, but if you get a kill with that solar, and this would be something where if you're going in PvE, I can see somebody like Esoteric absolutely just like abusing the crap out of this thing, which would be awesome. You go, hey, I punched a thrall. Now I have unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. Just chunk, like, I don't know how many grenades you can throw, but as fast as you can throw them, like 8 of them out there. Yep, you said it. Yeah, smack a thrall, constant nades in PvE, melt some bosses, throw some stuff out there, clear some ads. These, I think, are going to be really, really helpful in PvE. Now, PvP, this is going to be harder if you somehow did time it where you got the final blow and you, like, lit up a point or a door with like 7 grenades. It's just pretty much locked down for a little while, especially since they last longer. Or you can just spam a whole room. So I could see it having some fun in PvP, but mostly I think this one's going to be a PvE one. But in PvP, in the right situations with some low-level punching enemies, unlimited grenade energy, you can melt some stuff with a lot of grenades. I can only imagine how many you get to throw. So I think that will be kind of cool. So Warlocks have some coolness. Titan might have some stuff. I gotta wait and see if people take advantage of this. Hunters, again, could be cool, but I think those are kind of weak in the changes. What else for this week at Bungie? We've got Bungie Versus, so they're going against their own teams. Vicarious Visions versus Bungie. Good luck, because you're going against like the mod squad there, so Yeah, that's going to be kind of rough. I mean, I'm not saying they don't play the game. They probably have a lot, but if I had to wager, just because they've been doing it longer, probably would put my money on Bungie at this one. So good luck, Bungie. Vicarious, you've crushed the PC port. Keep the work going. But I just have my doubts that you're going to be able to pull this one out. Finally, we're getting 1.2.1. Undergo maintenance, no downtime expected. They've got some random patch notes. People would lose glory ranks for leaving matches. The clan EXP milestone, if you haven't heard, don't turn it in. Save it for the reset. Let it auto-decrypt, and then you'll be good. You've got Vanguard boons would block strike progression. Shriekers would close during the Warsat public event. Certain things are going to happen. Callous Shield required too much damage to break. And players experience too long load times for Iron Banner matches on PC. I have noticed that one, so I don't know when Iron Banner is going to come back, but I hope that gets fixed. Now, there is something going on right now. If you use DIM like I do, Destiny Item Manager, or what is it, Ishtar Collective, any of those things where you move, or even the Bungie companion app, you cannot equip items with apps. Now, I heard something, basically the fact that what it was doing is like people were able to level up or glitch gear or something. I don't even know how it worked. Basically, they deactivated that because people were basically cheaping their way through leveling up. So I'm okay that they did that. Now, the way to get around that, basically if you're going to switch characters, unequip like the high level weapons and say like your ghost if you've got a certain one that you use, things like that. Unequip those and just put them in your normal like stash, equip something crappy. And then when you switch your characters, as long as it's not equipped, you can move it between characters. You just can't equip it. So unequip stuff if you're switching characters, and then you can move it right over. So for now, that's what we have to do. Kind of sucks, but you know, so people don't cheap the system. I'm okay with that. You got your movies here. Haven't looked at those, and that pretty much wraps it up. There was one more thing I wanted to look at here on number 3. So Nightfall top scores, those are still crazy. These two are somewhat relatively close. This is nuts. 356. Man, that is kind of brutal there. But this is your big tweet that I wanted to look at with you guys. So, as you can see, people are slightly happy about it. Exodus Crash will be removed from the Heroic Strike matchmaking next Tuesday with patch 1.2.1. Literally, I don't see anybody having a problem with this. Be like, thank you, yes, good job, good stuff. Nobody likes this strike. The boss is annoying. The fights are kind of like, the boss is terrible because he teleports away. So if you use like one super slam, you can't even finish using it. He teleports, he leaves for a while. If you're working on Nightfall timer, that was always annoying. Like, this strike just needs reworked. The whole boss, like, seriously, this going away is awesome because nobody likes this strike. It needs redone. The strike in itself is okay, driving through the beams. For some reason, I'm always driving through and I get, like, my Sparrow exploded because I get sniped once or twice. And I actually didn't mind the jumping puzzle, but the boss fight is so annoying. Between the electric things on the floors, you can't move that fast, then he's invisible, runs all around, jumps away for like 2 minutes, then comes back, then you do like 3 bullets of damage, and then you gotta go through another wave. It's a slog. Nobody likes that strike. So good things, fix that stuff, bring them back later, it's fine. Nobody misses it. I haven't played that thing in a while anyway, and if I did load into it, I'd probably leave as it is. So I'm sure most people are doing that, but this is just actually a little bit of good news. They're just taking something that isn't that fun out, and hopefully they'll fix it later. So, but yeah, that pretty much covers most of what we've got here. If you haven't seen any of Paul Tassie's articles, cool dude. Seems to always, he writes for Forbes, but his articles are pretty good. But all these things is like some thoughts about what they are, things they could change, like running on a timer. Like that was so good. A weekly milestone for Escalation Protocol. Again, why not? Say you do actually knock this thing out. Or you complete, say you have to do 10 rounds. Who cares if you do 10 of round 1 or you do up to 2 5 times? It's a hard thing to do in the first place. Make it a somewhat challenging thing that you grind through and give me one more thing to grind for. Use your content. I think that's the biggest thing I want to get. Like, they have cool content. Every round of Escalation have some rewards. Again, tokens, this tiny little bit, all those pieces. So Escalation Protocol was a big piece for me, and that's why I kind of went off on it. So coming up, We've got next week, rallies patch. We'll see if faction rallies is anything. I have no idea, seriously. Yeah. The only reward comes from level 5 and then the chest at level 7 that you have to have the crazy key for. Why am I working through 3? Why am I working through 4? Like, it's not just one whole thing. Like, if you have levels to something, give us little bits of stuff or something. But yeah, faction rallies are coming. Crucible Labs, I'm very curious to see how much they dabble with that one. Literally, this stuff was not mentioned in the patch notes. 2 of these were not mentioned. Like, they said Crucible Labs, it's coming. That's it. That's all they're saying. It's like a public test realm. And faction rallies has not been mentioned at all. So I don't know what to expect. Just look for the patch notes on Tuesday. We'll see. July, we'll have more stuff coming. I'm still curious what they're going to do with bounties. I still think it's too late for raid layers to really matter, because if they're still at 300, what's the point? It's just kind of like the final push before September. Give you something to do and something to finish out your 385 character for. Year 1 triumphs, more exotic armor sandbox changes. They're going to test and see. You're 373 on console and still haven't been past level 5. Seriously, that is like, yeah. Nope. So, yeah, it's definitely not an easy thing. But I was like, September, there's one thing I want to see in September added. And this is why I almost want to do a whole video over it. Now, it might take more words than people want to listen to. Weapon slot changes, weapon randomization, new gameplay modes, records, and gear collections. They took away mods, which I'm sure is part of weapon stuff, randomization, who knows. But I don't see anything about armor changes, armor perks, armor rolls, anything like that. They are only focused on weapons, and if armor is not in September, that is a problem for me. Now, they may not be able to say it, and I think it was probably talked about at the summit, but I want to know what's going on with armor, and if they don't say anything, and they don't show perks are in there, and they don't show me that armor matters, you literally have 3 weapon slots. You have 5 armor slots. 5/8 of my gear doesn't mean squat. I'll keep my language clean, but I just want to... It really doesn't. Like, 5/8 of my gear, it's like, okay, it's just another one. Infuse the next thing up. It's just for my level. I really don't care. I threw a few mods on there, and those are still fairly trash. Okay. And that's all I get? Armor needs to matter. Armor sets. What if I went through and I did... What if there was like a heroic strike set? You get 1 piece from all the sets. Cool. And there were a couple mods in the other strikes or something like that, or maybe a ghost and a sparrow. Like, that'd be okay if it was a full set. And if you had all 7 pieces on, you got a bonus when running heroic strikes. Who knows? But give me random little crap like that to go for, but also on each piece of armor. I want like 2 more mod slots, another couple of perks, like the stuff like grenade throw distance, power weapon ammo, like, killing enemies of the darkness, which they've gone away from the darkness, which is fine. But, killing enemies in a PvE realm gives you, orbs or anything like that. This is the one part, like weapon slots being redone, whether they add a 4th one or they have the 3rd one come back in energy. Honestly, I could probably see them doing a 4th and pulling snipers, fusions, shotguns, maybe grenade launchers down there. If they put machine guns back in heavy, that would honestly be fun. I'd love to see them come back. And that type of stuff, fine. Yes. So JD correctly, when I pick up an orb, it regens my health. Yeah, absolutely. Like if I'm running around and I pick up, you already have the little light wells on the ground for the momentum thing, or not momentum, but attrition, which I absolutely hate. But you have the little things that give me health. Just throw that programming code on orbs when I have that helm on. But give me something else on the alternative that say, when wearing this helm, when fighting in PvE, you do more damage against Hive. What if I had a Hive set? What if I had 5 pieces of gear that I got from Mars or Titan? You can get it in both places or something like that. And if you have 5 pieces that add to that set, I get 10% bonus damage against all Hive. I know 10% doesn't sound like that much, but if it's something like that you could add to, say it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25% extra bonus damage against Hive, then I'm cranking through stuff a little faster, but I've grinded for that whole set. There's other factions we fight. All of those would be sets. I have so much useless armor, it's annoying. That is the one thing I'm waiting for right here, is armor needs some help. and a whole hell of a lot of it. So, weapon slot changes, weapon randomizations, the new game mode, everybody seems to love this thing. That is great. I hope it's awesome. Records, hopefully maybe some more lore in game. Gear collections. See, this is weird to me. Gear collections is my wonder. If that is like armor, you can't just give me another, here's a new Monarchy paint job, here's an Iron Banner paint job, here's a Crucible paint job, here's a Vanguard orange and blue paint. Like, I don't care about those. Whatever has my function, I'll throw some shaders on. Oh, by the way, fix shaders, please. I know some people have talked about those, but we have too many shaders. We don't have enough inventory space. They should work the same way ornaments do. All of that, like, that, just fix that crap, please, somewhere in here. It may not be a high priority. Maybe there's some agreement and some Activision contract with Eververse. I don't know, but fix shaders. Oh my god, I'm tired of my inventory being full of those. Sorry, small tangent. But yeah, generally, if you guys are in chat, I'm going to throw my Discord link in there so you guys can actually join me in there. We can actually talk afterwards if you want to. But generally, for me, armor is my big worry. Yeah, most annoying thing, shaders and inventory space. But my biggest worry for the future that will actually make me want to play or not want to play is armor. Weapons seem to be heading in a good direction. Exotic armor changes, they need to still crank those up to like 15. I don't know if some of them are enough. Yeah, a third of the vault is full of crap, and nobody needs it that way. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for this Flashpoint. I will throw my Discord link in chat as well once I finish up this recording. If you guys are looking for a link, I'll put that in there as well. I don't really monitor it that highly, but if you guys are looking for just people to play with, I might make a PC chat, for Destiny. Make, PS4, Xbox if you play on different platforms, or just a general Destiny chat if you just want to come say hey, chat with me, have any thoughts, anything like that. But as always, guys, I think it's been a lot of fun. I don't quite know how my work schedule is going, so we'll see when I can get my next one in with Cognito. But I know he's out of town, so safe travels with that man. Always miss having him on here, because I know he's probably just missing all the things he would love to say back or play devil's advocate. But the way I wrap up my YouTube videos, and everybody as well, I don't know where you guys are at around the world watching any of what I do, but I always appreciate the support. So as I don't know what time it is, I like to wish you good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. Thank you guys, and hang out here on Twitch. But other than that, I will see you all soon. Thanks for the support, and hope you guys had fun listening to me ramble on for way too long. Flashpoint turned into Long Point once again. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.